Alrighty, what is going on, ladies and gents? Welcome back to the channel for another market update. Hope everybody's having a lovely day. And with that being said, let's get into the TA. All right, so you might be wondering, why are we on the 5-minute time frame? We're on the 5-minute time frame just because we are going to watch and see if this thing breaks out of this inverse head and shoulders formation during this video. Right after this, I'm gonna take these all these squiggly lines off my chart. Don't worry. But we just did have a falling wedge breakout here. And we did end up holding the low of day from yesterday, which honestly, I think that is my line in the sand. Well, I don't think. That is my line in the sand. If we do end up coming underneath here, it will be a sign of weakness, and we will have the next spot is 373. Our final spot that we were waiting to hit this whole time. I think we are literally testing that line right now. It's too late. It's gone. All right, so I am just going to point out what I am still seeing on the charts, all right? And I'm just going to point out, you put on extended hours, your RSI is all the way down here. Now, we are going to come over to NQ because that is what we were talking about in yesterday's live stream that was right before market close. I'm going to point out, you still have this thing down here. You actually came down, and if you do continue down, I think this thing would be in oversold territory by the time you reached the breakout point. So that is still just like over here on QQ. That is the place that I still want to be hit. I don't like the idea of having a bounce before that gets hit, but it's not something that needs to happen. It's just a level that I am watching over here, which is right at the high of over here, 372.85. That's the actual level, not 373, but it's close enough. So we will call it that. Now coming over here to SPY, I know I got a ton of lines over here, so let's just clean up that chart real quick. I'm going to point out what's going on over here as well. So today, you did end up, I believe this is a pre-market. You came back up to this level that we flushed underneath. We come over the 15-minute time frame. You came back over to this level that we flushed underneath, and you ended up selling off directly from there. And again, over on SPY, you are going to be watching the low of day from yesterday, and underneath there, you have a door wide open to come down here to 450. So again, I don't like the fact that we are pushing up without coming down and tapping these levels, but it is what it is. We're just gonna have to wait and see. I'm gonna make my call right now, which is I think we get chopped until Tuesday. Why? Tuesday we have Google earnings. I believe we have the Microsoft we have. Let me just go over to the daily time frame over here. Yeah, so we have Microsoft and Google earnings. So I think it's very likely we do get some chop going into the rest of the day and then leading into Monday. And then Tuesday, you have that catalyst that could, that's going to be after hours. So going into Wednesday, really. You could very well just have chop around here, or on Monday, we finally dip down and tap the levels that I just mentioned over here on SPY and QQQ. But as of right now, you are getting a decent sized push. So I'm not gonna, well, we can't call it decent sized push. Over here in SPY, QQ is still just lagging, and this could be because of the rebalancing, guys. If they are, okay, if they are taking money out of the big caps, like, the mega caps, we'll call them, and they're putting them and distributing them throughout the others, all right, that could end up, it's not going to do so much for QQ, but what is it going to do? It's going to drag down all of these big boys over here like Apple, Google, Microsoft, Meta, Amazon. Speaking of Meta, I am actually going to bring this up right now just as a little like, hey, here you go. All right, guys. So we have all these that came in today, and this actually just came in. Your boy followed this with 40 bucks. It's actually 37 bucks. So we're going to see if it ends up printing. I bought a 0DT 300 call just in case. Like, this guy bought it for next Friday. You think I'm willing to put down 1,200 per contract? No, I'm not willing to put down 1,200 per contract. So yeah, I am following this. Hopefully we do end up, hey, maybe that turns into a couple $100. I don't know. It was my my Friday lotto gamble play right there. I was like, oh, a bunch of bullish flow coming in. I'm pretty sure we're probably going to get that pop going into like next week. I do think we are not going to tank off these things. That is also just a guess that I'm going to throw out there. But then we have FOMC on Wednesday, and that's why I say, like, hey, all right, today and then Monday, very likely chop in my personal opinion, because we have the big catalyst next week. And if we get some big moves before the catalyst, like, I mean, that's just not how things typically work. You typically will see the big moves like CPI, for example. All right, CPI ended up giving you a big, fat, nasty gap up over this level over here, and then PPIs will push you into the next level. Again, catalyst right there. So yeah, there's that. Now coming over to IWM, I'm actually going to point this out. IWM was doing a solid job over here holding its previous what it broke out of over here, which was this resistance over here, now turned into support. And if this thing is basing, which it does look like it's basing above here, and you are right here on this well, no, never mind. We need extended hours for that. All right, so you're not over there on that trend line. All right, you did end up breaking that. It moved because of extended hours. It took it off, but you are basing right here off this resistance turn support. So we have a classic SR flip right there. And guess what? The next level to be watching over here is at 198.40. And if we do see SPY and QQ start pushing up, then I don't see why IWM, which has not shown all that weakness that we've seen over here, you see that thing. All right, SPY really hasn't done much, but IWM has been the strongest in my personal opinion. So I would not be surprised to see that bad boy start pushing up there to 198.40 going into next week. As long as what, the levels I just pointed out over here do hold. If they don't hold, guys, like you're probably coming down to 450 on SPY, and you're probably coming down to 373 over here on QQQ, which again, those are the levels I want to be seeing hit. All right. If we don't hit them, you're going to have to be a little cautious. I think, people should get ready to buy the dip over here with dated calls over there. Like if you're entering stuff here, I think it's a wise idea to have time on your contracts if you are an options trader. All right. If not, like, shares are the way. There you go. But yeah, coming back over here to QQQ, I'm going to point out, guys, all of the overbought conditions that we had across the board. We had it on QQQ. We had this on SPY over here. Did actually have it on IWM. And then we also pointed out that you had it over on DIA. Now, DIA just kind of never corrected. So that is also one that's looking pretty strong. But if DIA does end up pulling back, I am looking for it to come all the way back down here too. 346.63. All right. Well, not 63 exactly. 346.50 we'll call it. But if you do see this thing start turning down, then hey, maybe that happens when we do see the correction over here. Now, what I pointed out earlier to the Discord, which I thought was pretty suspicious, is that SPY was tanking off open and VIX was tanking off open. That's typically not something you see. The only reason that VIX would be tanking is if calls were being bought and puts were being sold. The only reason, the only reason it goes up is if puts are being bought and calls are being sold. So that is just something that I was paying attention to earlier that just did not add up. And at the time, they were both red. So that typically also doesn't last. And if it does last, it does give us an 85% probability that over the following two trading sessions, we will be seeing, well, not seeing, but we have that likelihood, that 85% chance of seeing an update over on an update over on SPY. Why is that? Because the big boys are not loading puts into the, the sell-off there. And on the other side, people are loading calls. That is why that signal exists. There's that. I'm going to show you guys to finish up. I'm going to show you what I will be watching on Apple. Let's get rid of these ugly Bollinger Bands. You did end up breaking down from this head and shoulders formation, but I guess we could do something like this. A little like that, and maybe you did end up saving yourself. Let's see. I think you got a 15-minute close already underneath of it. So I guess we should have been watching the 1 hour over here. But underneath here, so let's say you do get an hourly close by the end of the day. The next spot you're going to be watching for is this gap fill down at 191.18. And if you do end up losing that, which if you come down here, I think it's likely you probably will end up making your way all the way down here to the 190 support. So you're looking at right here, the close of this candle, or is it the open or the close? Sometimes my candles are they like switch colors for some reason. I don't know why that happens, but yeah, so the open over here at 190.23. Let's just go a little like that. We'll go like that. All right, there we go. But yeah, I am actually also going to close this video out with Tesla. All right, I'm going to point out Tesla was showing this sign of strength over here. When the market was not doing this at all, it was just straight consolidating. And then you had Tesla shooting up with volume, which I thought was pretty interesting. What I want to see over here on Tesla is it reclaim 267, because I'm going to point this out. You put on extended hours over here. You have the 4-hour RSI reaching oversold territory, unlike over there. And on top of that, you did have this bullish divergence appearing over here on the RSI as well down there. So I do think we do end up seeing, like, Tesla is probably going to be something that's a little bit more strong than everything else, considering, I mean, we could just take a look at these things. Everything has died this morning. Tesla did die, but it's making a comeback right now. And again, it was shooting up when we didn't see the others shooting up over there. Something I'm actually also going to point out, just a little trade idea for you guys. All right, TSM. Now, AMD and NVIDIA have ended up taking a hit, but TSM is right here. It also did take a hit off of its earnings. All right, but it took a hit right down to the support level, and this is a clearly defined risk level that you can be taking. Get a daily close underneath the zone, which was, let's just look at the low of 96.98. You get a daily close, it's pretty solid. Like, hey, all right, get out. Because why? Look at that. You risk falling down. The next support is going to be all the way down here at $90. That is a $7 move. But above there, you were targeting the gap fill over here at 510. So let's do a little something like this. Let's get a long position right here. And let's say you entered at the top there. You're risking a close under. We'll say you're risking the low of this candlestick. All right, you have a pretty solid risk to reward ratio right there. And yeah, just a little trade idea for you guys. And why do I like this? All right, first of all, MU has broken out from this wedge. We called this out literally as the breakout was happening over here mid video. So congrats if anybody ended up buying in on the back test or something like that. You're not up too much. But what I do want to point out is it has not been dying with the rest of the market, which is in fact a sign of strength. That is something solid. So that's actually what got me looking at TSM. But then you also over here have NVIDIA, and NVIDIA is pretty close. All right, so when I looked at it earlier, it was like down here. But let's just see. The low of this candlestick is $5 away from the back test. So like even like right now, all right, you're $10 away from your back test. So not much further to fall until you very likely do end up getting buyers. That being, that's something we pointed out earlier in the week in a video. I think it was after this candlestick or this candlestick, and we were saying like, hey, even if you do fall, you know, you had a pretty explosive breakout. You got the gap up right here, and like it's not like it's terribly small volume right here. And I would imagine if you come down here, you're probably going to get some dip buyers that are stepping in for that breakout. And then on top of that, you have AMD over here. And AMD has fallen off a cliff, but it was, you know, looking pretty strong for the time being over here, climbing and scraping its way up there. But it is now fallen about $12 there. So again, like all of these other ones, guys, you have the 4-hour RSIs oversold. So I still stand by what I was saying in yesterday's live stream. I do think it's a solid dip buying opportunity, but let me just look at what you are risking. Okay, you are risking forming. We'll look at NQ for this. All right. Because that is what I'm going to be watching, this 4-hour RSI. And I understand RSI, guys, it's, you know, it's not the best indicator, But in reality, it makes things pretty simple if you just want to take a step back and look at what has happened over, you know, the last, like, what, 4 to 5 months here. What you're risking, guys, is forming a bullish divergence like this. So if you do end up getting this bounce, which I think that's honestly, that's a likely scenario. If you get this little bounce, maybe earnings ends up bringing you down a little bit on Tuesday or something. You come down, you finally tap this zone, and then boom, you know, you form a bullish divergence with that. I have no idea how it's going to end up playing out. I have no idea. But that is what I think your risk here is, and that's why I would not be buying shorter expirations and stuff like that. You could do whatever you want. I'm not going to say they're not going to pay, but, you know, I just personally, I don't want to be doing it. So there's that. But, oh, look at our guy Meta over here. 297, you know, push up to 300. Turn $40 into like $200. I'm going to be so happy. That's like lotto play. I don't take lotto play. So, like, that would be really cool. That would be cool. What are we looking at? NQ over here, though. All right, guys. So, like, realistically, that is your risk that I'm looking at right now. We are clearly in an aggressive bull trend. I do think the rebalancing thing has something to do with what is going on right now. But let's just take a step back and like let's think about this. All right, if they're just rebalancing, then the index itself should not be going down. Correct? Like maybe because they haven't changed the actual, you know, maybe they didn't do the buying of the other stocks. That's what I'm getting at. Maybe they were just selling out of these and they're going to buy the other stocks, and that would bring it right back up. But I was thinking about this last night, and you know, the actual rebalancing would just take money out of this one and put it into the other one, and the weighting in the end would be 100% anyway. So the index would not be changed. So yes, these individual mega caps would be changed, but the index itself, QQQ, NASDAQ, NDX, and the NQ future should not be too dismantled over here by this rebalancing. So that's just a thought I want to throw out there. And yeah, with that being said, I will catch y'all in the next one. Everybody have a lovely weekend. I will catch you tomorrow for the weekly update, and peace.